broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
And it's so easy when you're evil.
Hey, welcome to AfterBuzz TV's Arrow After Show, or shall we call it the Black Arrow, which I feel like it has become. Either way, thank you for joining us. Make sure you tune in live if you haven't already, and if you are live, make sure to tweet us. #ABTV Arrow, and if you haven't, please subscribe to our channel. I'm Alikona Bradford, and we are joined today by a very special guest whom I will allow to introduce himself.
Hey, I'm Alan Kistler. I'm a comic book historian and consulting geek. I've written for Wired.com, comicbookresources.com, themarysue.com. My book, Doctor Who History, became a New York Times bestseller, and I also wrote trivia books on Batman, Spider-Man, and the unofficial cookbook for Game of Thrones.
Nice!
He is a good person, and people say nice things about him.
Sometimes.
They better.
I do have the occasional hater.
That's how you know you've made it.
There we
It's
go.
KT.
Yes, hi all my buddies, it's Katie Cullen. You can find me on Twitter at Kiaxet, Kiaxet. I'm also going to be checking the hashtag tonight, so be sure to tweet, and if you say something clever or poignant, you may get a shout out.
Lex Michael, Twitter handle at the Lex Michael.
Oh yes, and I'm at Kiss My Passport. Totally irrelevant to
But
everybody
what's
else.
your name?
I said my name at the beginning.
Did you? Say
I
it
did.
again. Good folks at
Alikona
home.
Bradford. Hey. My Asian just came out. All right, so let's start the show talking about the breaking of Oliver Queen, which we started a little bit last episode, but this time we actually get to see the whole process. And at first, I saw him as prisoner, and I thought, what are they doing? I'm confused with this process, but then I started slowly to understand it was just the whole...
Well, yeah, and it
literally
is
breaking
torture.
him. Yes.
And it's breaking him, and people do that, and it is brainwashing, so...
Yeah, I mean, it's a typical cult. It's sort of like in boot camp, you're supposed to sort of disassemble a person partly to reassemble them
Right.
as a soldier, and then cults take that to a different extreme. And I think that was definitely the case. And not only are they like putting him through torturous stuff, they actually force him to hallucinate as part of his
Right.
testing.
And, well, I mean, he passed the test. And you know what's funny is actually when I saw that part of the episode, when he stabbed the fake Diggle, I thought... There's a plan behind this. It's still Oliver, and he stabbed him where he missed some organs, and later
Right.
on he'll throw him in the pit.
Nope.
No,
No.
he just really
He's dead.
thought it was him and
He's dead.
went for the gusto.
Although it is hard to take any death in the vicinity of Nanda Parbat seriously
Seriously.
now when you have the hot tub of life.
Right.
I'm at the point where it's hard to take any death seriously.
Just in general.
I wasn't kidding about they brought in the Dragon Balls.
Yeah. No, I get it.
I wonder if the guy that Oliver killed was, in the eyes of the League, a criminal or a traitor in some respect, or if it was just another unlucky intern.
I
Exactly.
feel like it was
the
just
candle
another.
lighter.
It was the candle guy! Who's gonna light the candles now?
Well, we're gonna take another spin on the chore wheel because Bob is no longer with us.
What happened to Bob?
You over here, Bob.
Well, now that you've lit all the candles, it turns out that candle lighter has an alternate duty when we're training a new member. Oh, what is it?
you give your life.
Hallucination stand-in.
You get
sure,
stabbed with a
how do I
sword.
do that? Oh, you die. And I get brought back in the pits, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
Of course.
By
We
the
need
way-
you to light the candles. Who else can light the candles?
Poor Bob.
By the way, Steve, you're the new Bob.
Oh, shit.
Considering that Steve is the name of our booth guy sometimes. Not today, but occasionally.
But going back to Oliver.
Yeah.
Okay, I see the process, and I get it. We got a quick montage of everything. But do you guys really think that going through torture and all that really can make a person forget all the things that Oliver has quote-unquote forgotten?
If he's been hallucinating on top of it, yeah. They'd had hundreds and hundreds of years to perfect the science of screwing with someone's brain chemistry. I certainly think they can do that.
I mean, my own pause for it is the amount of time, because this is 3 weeks later, but then Arrow in general seems to have like this universe where in time a lot can happen in a few weeks, because like Thea went from I'm just a kid I'm getting to know my father for once, in less than a year I'm kind of a super powerful assassin.
Right. It was like 3 months.
Yeah,
they got a thing
it's
with
significantly
3
less than a year.
And then there's the Canary, who all of a sudden...
And there's the Canary, who was like rocking out, although her fighting skills are inconsistent depending on the scene.
This episode, the mugger with the knives hit her in the face.
Competent.
Yeah. And then later in the same episode, she's fighting the League of Assassons.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Although I do like the second that we pointed out, she shouldn't be able to hold her own against the League. She gets her rear handed to her. It's like, oh, hey. Continuity.
Yeah, but at the same time, I think part of that is... well, no, okay, you're right. She did get knocked down, but then you get Nyssa, who gets totally distracted by her getting knocked down, and then that's where Nyssa loses it. And you're like, oh,
they are super in lesbians with each other, and I just want, I want a kiss. I want an on-camera kiss. I want confirmation, and I want representation, because that is someone who is presumably a lesbian and someone who is bi in a relationship.
Wait, when did we determine that Laurel was bi?
Well,
I mean, this is leading to
guys, and then
she's not dated a girl
girls,
yet.
And
when
well,
did she date girls?
She does.
If she does,
Nyssa.
Okay, well,
That's
she hasn't
what
dated her
mean.
yet.
Are you sure about that?
I think that eating the milkshake with the fries. And
I gotta say, if the intention is not that they're dating right now, then they don't know what show they've created, or they're really going into some serious baiting here. Because like it was. Like, previous episodes, I could see it as like, yeah, they're friends, and they're getting to have this understanding, they're united by the sister. This episode is like, wow, any second now, they are going to kiss. Like, because, and that would be fine. I would actually say the show had some decent guts to actually go that way.
But if it's not a relationship, then it is massive, massive queer baiting.
Yeah.
Like on a Sherlock scale, which is pretty bad.
Well, no, here's the thing. I feel like with them, to have them go in and just automatically right away start making out, that's too soon, because...
Hey, 3 weeks. 3 weeks is often enough to
on a different show, it is too soon.
Well, no, and plus, okay,
on Arrow, it's late.
You were in love with her sister, so I get how it'd be easy to fall in love with the other sister, but as a sister, wouldn't you feel awkward?
I would feel, and if they address that, that would be great. That's the thing. Even if it's decided, well, I actually don't feel this way about you, or I do, but it's weird to me because you were in love with my sister and I think of you that way, at least that would be addressing it.
Right.
You know, I would love to see that, just addressing it in some way, because then you're going into that area. You don't even have to pursue the relationship, but address it. Address what's happening on screen.
Right.
But the queer baiting is not okay. We need confirmation, or they need to dial it back.
I think it'll eventually happen, but I think the cool thing about Laurel, as Nyssa even said, she felt enlightened at that moment, because she's experienced her life as the League of Assassins.
The daughter of the demon.
Yeah, clearly not been a run in the park, you know? And so for her to have her first French fry and milkshake, you know, I mean,
who's not falling in love with that?
I can show you the world.
Yes. It was just nice, and I think that, well, even there were times where Laurel was willing to go up against Team Arrow continuously to stand up for Nyssa. She's a good person.
Yeah, who's killed a lot of people in the past, but apparently is done.
Yeah. Hey, I mean, all of us kill people in the past too.
Which and we saw people have a problem with that even after he stopped, which I was cool with. And you saw that it was a struggle and it was a process.
Right. And let's be real, they're still working with Merlin.
Yeah, no, and
for some reason.
But again, they keep addressing that they don't really trust Merlin when they do. So I get it. Whereas like Nyssa, I'm like, you've really forgiven her very quickly.
Right.
Like, and also I just haven't heard her point of view of like, yeah, I've learned killing is wrong, or whatever.
I don't know if she believes that killing is wrong.
It doesn't seem like she's learned that.
Right. In which case, I'm like, this should be addressed a little bit.
Yeah.
She hasn't killed anyone lately.
But also, I'm not sure all the people she's killed really deserved it. Like, that you could argue that people Ollie deserved, you can argue, killed, you could argue deserved it in some morality and stuff. Whereas I don't know how many people were like, she even knew why they needed to die.
She got the assignment and she followed through with it.
Yeah, these 5 people need to die, didn't even ask, you know.
But then you get to the point, can you blame her because she was raised and trained to follow orders, and all of that was following orders.
All of this is good discussion, which would be great on the show. If it's not happening in the show, then I don't care.
Yeah.
Then you're not addressing it.
Yeah.
So you don't want to talk to us then?
Well, no. Here's the thing. Diggle had his moment.
Yeah.
Diggle had his moment after Lila was kidnapped, and he went in on Nyssa. He ripped her a new one, and Nyssa says, "Hey, free reading, just so you know, you've done this, this, and this, and you call this honorable." Like, he straight up told her off.
That was great. That was absolutely great. Yeah.
But here's the thing: he's not mad at her. He's mad at the League.
Yeah.
He's mad at them for taking Oliver. He's mad at them for screwing Oliver over.
Yeah.
And then, ta-da, they kidnapped his wife.
Right.
You want a berserker button. There we go.
Right, of course. Well, she's the punching bag. She's all that's there that's of the League that he has to take it out on in that moment. So
Yeah.
of course, he's going to go off on her.
Yeah.
No, that was a a good confrontation.
Lex, do you have anything to say?
No, I was just like, yep, I agree.
You need popcorn.
Popcorn is great.
Just watching us go back and forth.
At the same time, too, you know, when they first had found out, the whole team Arrow had found out that Arrow had gone rogue or whatever, and everybody's in straight denial. And then you have Felicity, who's now starting to learn and slowly starting to grieve, because she's always the last one to believe the worst, to me, anyways.
Because she still has her faith in humanity.
That's true. She's untainted.
I wouldn't go that far, but I would say she still prefers to see the good in people,
It's
and
also-
so she'd believe in Oliver.
She's also the one who's still not a warrior.
True.
You know, like, she joins the fight, and, you know, she certainly adds to the fight. Like, they couldn't do a lot of the things without her.
She brought the guns!
She brought the guns.
But it's specifically because she's not a warrior that they were able to pull that plan off.
Right, and she brought the guns for someone else to use. Like, it's still not her instinct.
I think it's still good to have her in that role, though. We need someone
yes.
on the show who's a non-combatant because we need the support, because we need someone who can go in as kind of the weapons mule and conceivably pull off, no, we don't need to search her, she's never armed. It's a trick that will never work again.
Right,
and it sure did work. Now, we need someone in that role to be the heart and soul of the team.
Yeah, you need the moral compass, and you also, just for dramatic purposes, need the somewhat opposing view of anyone who's gone to an extreme.
Right.
Yeah.
I have a really random point to bring up, actually.
Sure.
Okay.
Do it.
So in the past, when we saw the Canary, it was Katie Lotz playing the Canary,
Right.
and she had her high pitch sound. I don't.
Grenades, like sonic grenades.
Okay, so I don't recollect where it came from.
Canary
For some
cry.
reason, I was picturing, you know, like Staples has the button that you push. I was like, wait, hold
There's
on.
the sonic grenade
I
on
think
it.
those were the smoke bombs that they were using. They were easy buttons. That was Ninja.
But this time was the first time we actually saw it was a collar.
But they
Laurel.
laid that in the Flash because
Right.
she had
Last week.
You need,
Okay,
you
so I
need to
didn't
watch the Flash. You really
Yeah.
do need to watch
Okay.
the
So-
Flash. It's doing this now.
But without spoiling, like, what happened in that episode, basically, like, Cisco came to the city,
Starling City.
for his own reasons. And she saw who Cisco was, has heard about Cisco from the others, so quickly told him, like, look, I've been using this thing, I need an improvement. I was thinking maybe a collar type thing, and Cisco made her up one, and actually brought up the fact that in recent episodes of The Flash, he's already been working on sonic weaponry anyway because of other experiences that have happened there. So he was able to whip this up in a couple of days and gave it to her, and even suggested you should call it the Canary Cry, which is what the superpower is in the comics.
Right. Nice.
Yeah, and it is a superpower in the comics, so
Right.
kind of having it be
Although-
technology here is interesting.
It's perfect, though. But it's perfect because Arrow has lived in the realm of more reality, for lack of...
Grounded.
There you go.
Yeah.
It doesn't have as much... Like, you saw a metahuman here and there,
Yeah.
but that's more so the Flash world versus
Yeah.
this tends to be based more on... Not the real world, but you know what I mean? It's more human.
It had a hard and fast no superpowers rule for 2 seasons that they kind of let go out the window when they started doing Mirakuru. But it started with, we're not doing any superpowers.
Even with Mirakuru, it was always an enhancement of
Chemistry.
actual human abilities,
Right.
as opposed to something completely out of human talents.
Well, and it's also
More
tough.
Steve Rogers than Magneto.
Right.
It's also tough once the flashes happen and the particle accelerator has created a ton of metahumans, and we know that these two shows are so linked. It's very tough to explain why none of these people ever leave that one city.
Right. Which again was addressed in a recent episode of The Flash.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's also, I mean, part of that is apparently Starling City has now moved closer to where Central City is. Because when we first heard about it, like, we see Barry pass a sign, it's like, I don't know, 400 miles away.
It was a long train ride.
Right, all right. And that was only, like, at the halfway point. It was still, like, 400 miles away.
Yeah.
And now it's just like, well, I mean, it makes sense. This guy got out of Central. He went right over to Starling. I was like, really? That's like saying, you know, oh, well, he left New York, so he obviously was in Baltimore next. But there's a lot of ground in between to cover. Wait a minute.
He left L.A. and now he's in San Francisco.
Yeah, it's like there are places in between.
It just...
But I mean, I had to deal with...
Continuity.
Yeah, I mean, I accepted that in Smallville, somehow Metropolis was in Kansas, so...
But that's
Right.
Smallville.
Yeah. No, I'm
But
just saying,
that's
I accept things
Smallville.
for TV adaptations.
Stuff actually happens in Arrow and the Flash.
The last 4 seasons are awesome.
Yes, it only took them 6 seasons to get there.
Different people were involved.
So, okay, another random
the
out of the
low-hanging
blue
fruit.
observation
Yes.
outside of that.
Yeah,
in,
sure.
in regards to costumes.
Yes.
Costumes?
Well, I was going to say, I don't know what I was going to say.
Attire.
Anyway, attire.
Identity concealers.
Thank you. Identity concealers. Oh, okay. So, you know, Merlin comes to visit Thea. They have their little talk. Dad, I want to do this. What can I do for you? And all of a sudden, Thea shows up and she shoots Oliver with the bow. Did you see the dark hood that she had? I'm like, okay, now who tailored your outfit? Is that Dad's? Is that what she, like, what?
They got a guy.
Her dad is John Barrowman.
I mean,
true, I'm
who's making any of his clothes? Like,
Well, to be fair, we were
The
questioning.
League of Assassins has some seamstress in there because they knew how to make 30-some-odd Arrow outfits.
Well, it's possible too that we don't. The last couple of episodes, we haven't seen that much of Malcolm. He's just popped in and out, maybe a scene here
so
or there.
maybe he was
Because
off
he's just
sewing.
at home.
Bottle of wine, sewing a costume for his daughter.
Like, once you can't kill anymore, you have to come up with a new hobby.
Yes, you need a
Right.
hobby.
Yeah. See, again, this is where I was hoping we were actually going to see this character. Because in the Flash comics, there actually was a tailor, Gombe, who was the tailor that all the supervillains went to, and who actually, like, worked out all their suits and added improvements to them and all. And he's mentioned in the Flash pilot episode, you see a Gombe cleaner's truck that Barry actually runs into.
So he's kind of the Edna Mode of the DC universe.
For the villains, yeah, at least for the Midwestern villains of Central City and Keystone, right. So, I don't know, Central City's not too far away. Maybe Malcolm just called, like, hey, Gombe, like, my daughter.
My kid needs an outfit.
My daughter, she's going
She
out.
needs an
She's gonna
outfit.
She's gonna fight some assassins. Who know who she is anyway? But what the heck? Give her a mask and a hood. You know.
Make her look kind of like Dad.
Do me a
They
solid.
have the same aesthetic.
Do me a solid. We're gonna
do-
call her Speedy.
Poor Speedy. Do we think, though, because there was no end conclusion, really, to that conversation outside the fact that, yeah, she showed up with a dark hood on, do you think that her and her dad are now going to continue the training aspect of it? Because I also feel like Merlin, he's not been a wuss, but he's definitely toned down a lot since all
He got what he wanted.
Well, yeah, but just everything about him, he's just not as...
Murder.
Well, I think
Yeah,
that's
The
part of.
drama's,
Yeah.
not with, the drama's not with him right now.
Well, also- So
the
he's
drama's
chilling.
with Roz and Oliver.
Well, also, when the TV decides, we're going to keep him on, you sort of have to tone down all the reasons why everyone would want to fight or punch him every 5 seconds. So I think they're definitely toning that down, and because otherwise it's like, yeah, why is the bad guy being allowed to just walk in and out of the loft?
Right.
They shaved the mustache so he can stop twirling it.
Is how that happened.
Yeah.
I would like to. I
We
would like to
have-
see Thea develop a relationship. Sorry.
I think that ship has sailed.
You think?
I could still see
he
something
kind
happening.
of made her kill for him,
Well, yeah,
which
but
led
she-
to her death
But
and
now-
her resurrection at the cost of Oliver's soul. I think that ship has sailed.
But
a lot
at
to
the
get
same
over.
time, we've got Nyssa serving as mentor to Laurel, partly because she knows the League so well.
Right.
And so I could see Malcolm serving a similar purpose as sort of an advisor and finding his own ways to still keep teaching Thea some lessons or something. Like, Thea wouldn't willingly say, yeah, you can coach me and we'll be good. But I could still see him achieving some sort of role in that end.
Good point.
I would say desperate times call for desperate measures, and at
Sure.
this point, she just wants her Oliver back if she can
Yeah.
get it. So nobody else on Team Arrow can really help her with that.
But it's not really time for training right now. We're at the climax.
Although Nanda Parbat doesn't seem that difficult to reach anymore.
People keep coming and going.
Yeah, people keep coming.
They actually moved it. It's the third town over. Now.
They apparently just built an airfield because Ray's jet was able to land nearby.
Well, and we also have a Nanda Parbat light in that little warehouse.
Yeah, okay, so while we were watching, I was wondering, and I asked out loud, did they bring the torches back to Nanda Parbat and then return with them, or do they rent this warehouse in the middle, presumably the Glades?
Oh, they rent.
They rent, so they got a lease. And whose name is the lease under, Roz?
Under
Bob the intern. Now that Bob the intern is dead, whose name are they going to put on the lease?
Maybe it'll be like when Talia came to the States and actually like came up with a U.S. identity. It was just Talia Head.
Bro, yeah.
Although pronounced Heed because like, oh, she's British. Like, no, we know it's Head. We know it's Demon's Head. We get it.
We've got a few comments on Twitter, some of which are pithy, some of which are hilarious. One of them is searching replacement sacrificial lamb and or candle guy in case Oliver Queen escapes like the bastard he is. Parenthetical race arbitrary from Elliot Brum. Thank you.
Race arbitrary. I like it.
Race RACE.
Oh, my fault.
Good pun. But
I like race arbitrary.
I like puns.
From Vern's views, in 3 weeks of boot camp, in 24 hours, many of us were broken down. Plus, he was under the influence of drugs.
Right.
From someone who's got the actual experience, with, I would imagine, the exception of the drugs part, given that was the military. From Brandon Christopher, Laurel's a master of blocking punches with her face.
Yeah, we were watching her.
Really super funny.
When we were watching her take on the mugger, I was like, well, thank God Laurel was here to get saved again. Like,
right.
Yeah.
And I say that out of the fact that I want Laurel to be cool. I don't hate Laurel. I just don't think they've known or handled her as well as they could have several times in this season. I don't know.
I do think that at least it's realistic that she's not going to be super awesome combat genius within 3 weeks.
Right. But but then I want her to be a little more consistent on things, or again, address the kind of training she's going under, or what more she needs.
I would have actually liked to see her physically training with Nyssa. If she's learned something from her, I want to see them.
We've been told that they train, but all we've really seen them do together is dip French fries in milkshakes.
Right.
Which is great.
Is
It's
awesome.
bonding. Yeah, for sure.
There's no warrior out there who won't do that and doesn't have that experience.
Sometimes you have to refuel.
I want fan art of Batman sitting in a cafe with Superman, like how it should have ended style, dipping French fries in.
It would totally be Superman showing Batman that.
It would.
Like, no, Bruce, you've got to. You
gotta
just
do this.
it's the little
Why is this
things,
fries?
Bruce.
Did you not
Like,
have a childhood?
It's like
No.
Look,
there are no French fries for justice.
I mixed the mustard with the ketchup.
It's Steve. It's our new candle
delicious.
guy.
This isn't the milkshake we need, but it is the one we deserve.
Wow.
Only after we've gotten back on topic, may I?
Yeah, so anyways,
We have one
You're welcome, Internet.
from Helix Marcelius. The thing is, Oliver is already a driven person, and so if you brainwash him, you get the Terminator in a hood, which just tells me that he'll be back.
Oh yeah, we know he'll be back because the show's called Arrow.
Andre Doty pointing out that Laurel has some Batman skill to put a tracker on Nyssa. Nice work.
Yeah, why did Nyssa not pick up on the tracker?
Dude, she was distracted by a sugar rush.
But
She's
that's
never
what it
had a
was.
milkshake before.
Christian Cantrell says, we kill random people, but then we can just throw them in the pit with Steve the Candle Guy.
right.
I'm glad the candle guy has a mythology that's building.
And this is my personal favorite because Brandon Christopher has obviously watched the other after shows I'm on. Never forget, Ollie is a shonen protagonist. I like you. You are a good person. I like you.
So anyway,
Yeah.
going back to the show. Well, actually, no, we've got some really great comments from our Twitter feed, definitely.
We
for
also
sure.
had some fun references in this episode.
And a couple people pointing out that Thea already had the costume when she killed Sarah, both Elizabeth Harrison and Kylea.
Was that the same costume? I thought she was wearing a standard League costume.
I think it might have been standard League, but the two are very
But she
similar.
wouldn't even know that she owned that.
How would you know from the lighting?
Malcolm probably still has
Yeah, look, that's what I'm saying. She wouldn't even know that she
kept
owned it.
Like,
right.
by the way, since you're going into action, this is what I had you kill people in. Oh, is that bad? I heard it. I said it and I heard it in my. Oh, I'm sorry. This is awkward. This is so awkward. Oh
It
God.
sounded so much better in my head.
Yeah.
Well, we do find out that Thea finally finds out that Roy is still alive, but of course, Felicity being Felicity has the most awkward moment
I was
to
just
choose to.
This is the worst way to tell her.
Right,
This is the worst. I was really expecting that during the 3 weeks they told her at some point.
No.
I just sort of accepted that.
What was
My
it?
God, there has been a 3-week time skip.
3
and
weeks.
They didn't tell.
Yeah.
It didn't really sink in until just now that she's been sitting on that note for 3 weeks.
I'm waiting for Thea
And
just
it
to look
never
at.
came up?
Yeah, just Thea to look at Laurel and Felicity like, why the lying?
Right.
All of the lying. Like, I wanted her to have that Oliver moment when he was told, oh, Ray has a super suit and knows who you are. Like, when were you going to tell me?
Yeah.
When?
I do like that Nyssa pointed out that
Yes.
Laurel's first instinct was
Yes.
to lie.
Yes, which is the start of a good relationship.
That is, that
Yeah.
is basically this show in a microcosm.
Yeah.
Important information, lie about it. Like a rug.
Well, I was gonna say with the Thea thing, I felt like Felicity took that because the moment was so awkward. I just felt like, yeah, so we should probably start getting over Oliver. You know, I don't know how, but we should. Hey, but Roy's alive.
Yeah.
There you go. Trade one life for another, and everything's okay.
He's
See?
been sitting wherever he is for 3 weeks, kind of waiting on a call. Like, did she
Hello?
get the note? Is she mad at me? I mean, she ditched me for 5 months for lying to her, and this is a lot bigger than that. But the fact that I'm still alive should count for something, right? I'm gonna go beat up some muggers to make myself feel better. The Oliver Queen School of Therapy. Which has obviously not worked out in any capacity.
It's like every episode he gets more troubled.
You seem really concerned about how Oliver's spirit
Yeah.
is.
He just seems so unhappy.
The look on his face during the last scene in this episode.
That was
"Oh,
incredible.
Well, we're not going to kill her. You're going to marry her. And just the look on
Yes.
his face like, brainwashing did not prepare me for
Yeah.
this. Does not compute.
Next week, a royal wedding.
Only Batman were here. The fact that, and I mean, there are always inevitably going to be comparisons between a Batman character and a Green Arrow character. Like, you can't avoid them, so sometimes it's not fair.
Right.
It's
Rich
just
people
easy.
with technology.
Right.
One of them believes
Right.
in color. The other one's a bat.
Right. But when you're literally when you're once again taking this story point from a famous Batman recurring storyline,
Yes.
and you're actually using the title of the graphic novel
Bride of the Demon,
wherein Bride of the Demon, wherein Batman and Talia, the other daughter, got married and all, like it's a little too on the nose for me. I keep wishing they would just tweak a few other things so we could really see Oliver go down a different path.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised they haven't fallen into that more this season because of this, how similar the two characters are in so many respects. If you're going to start bringing in Ra's al Ghul and the League of Assassins in such a heavy way, obviously those parallels are going to be there. The fact that this was the first one, it's always been there, but this is the first one where I went, oh, nose. This is me. I'm touching my nose. For people not watching, nose, that. Yeah.
You know, I was gonna say, randomly, we did get to hear about the Hive.
Yes, and we got Damien Darhk,
Yes.
who is in the comics.
Reference.
Yeah, and did in the comics have connections to the Hive.
Yep.
They were supposed to be bringing him soon. I had actually read a spoiler. Ooh, something. Sorry. Anyways, I'd read a spoiler, so I don't know if that means that he's going to be showing up in the next few episodes.
Well, we've only got 2 left, don't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got
They
to-
did say it was Endgame at this point.
I did hear at one point a rumor that he was going to be a presence in this season, but
I
then
believe it's the finale they're going to introduce
Okay,
him and
'cause I
set him
mean-
up for the next season.
they've had to change some plans because originally Ted Kord was going to be the character here, and then they had to change that to Ray Palmer at the last minute.
Ted Kord would have been so much fun.
The Blue Beetle.
Blue Beetle, yeah.
Oh my God, that would have
That's
been
why it
so
was going to be
great.
armor, and there was going to be. That's why there was an OMAC connection originally with the armor because it was supposed to be Ted Kord since
That
Kord
makes a
Industries.
lot of sense.
Yeah, because Kord Industries was listed. Was mentioned in season 1 and 2 several times, and then also that's why the armor has this pulse light weapon because Ted Kord had his BB gun, as he called it, which fired pulse lights.
So it makes a lot more sense. He's a repainted dime store Iron Man. No, I know.
Hey, I still love Brendan Routh. Like, And I'm thrilled to have him as a superhero.
I'm just not pleased with what they did with the Atom. It makes sense that it was supposed to be someone else, but wow, slapping a coat of paint on it didn't do him any favors.
Well, also, he started off as a creeper, and he's gotten a lot better.
He did. Yeah, he
Holy
did.
crap, he was a creeper for several episodes. And then, like, when Felicity in the Flash crossover was trying to explain, like, it's not as creepy as it sounds. I was like, no, sweetheart.
It
was creepy. It was creepy. He got better, but it was creepy in the beginning. Let's be honest there.
Those two weren't super well written in that episode of The Flash anyway.
True.
So there is that. And all of the people are like, we cut you off the Flash podcast for a reason.
I was gonna say, maybe that was the writer's way of showing his awkwardness, maybe be it his awkwardness with women or just in general, because as he developed on the Arrow, you got to see him turn into a more of a quirky character. And Felicity's always been that awkward person. And I don't know if it's just because she's a woman that it doesn't come off as creeper, but she had her way of just vomiting out of the mouth stupid stuff.
Yeah. Well, I think it just should have been called out more. If Felicity had just called it out more later as they were getting closer.
True.
That would have been, because I have no problem with a character, especially an incredibly intelligent character, missing social cues. Like, we see that all the time.
Right.
But there's
Just
missing
call them
social
out.
cues, and then there's that.
Right, and I really was looking for that boundaries conversation from Felicity or anyone.
Right.
You know.
Well, I'm pretty sure this horse is at the glue factory, and we have other stuff we really need to talk about.
Oh, yes.
How did we not manage to break the vial of a bioweapon while it's in the hilt of a sword that's getting tossed around every which way and taking heavy impacts
It's
during
got
battle?
padding.
It's got the little case thing on it.
you know.
Yeah, I've transported a bottle of wine on a plane before with padding, but that doesn't mean it doesn't show up in shards at the bottom of my suitcase.
Well, you're terrible at wine
Right,
packing. I think that's what that lesson is.
How long ago, though, do you think she actually stole the Omega? Because here's the thing that...
A long time.
But do you think it was when it was announced that she was not going to be the heir?
Probably.
And
That would make sense.
But you know what I mean? Like, was it specifically because she just didn't want the next person to come up, or was it specifically because it was Oliver?
You know, it could be either way. I did see that on Tumblr there were questions being answered, and that questions about Nyssa would be answered in episode 22. So I feel like that's almost something we can put a pin in, because I think we're going to know more. Because if she's his biological kid, then she would have to cleanse the League to get rid of her past. But if she's adopted, then there's somewhere else that she would have to kill, and maybe she didn't want to do that. Who knows? But she had to have known that this step was coming in order to
absolutely.
take it. And it's possible that, no, I'm spitballing and that's going nowhere. Roz disowned her because she refused to do it. Nah, she never got that far.
No.
Saw where that train of thought was going and just abandoned it.
But if she refused to do it, once she's out, she knew that there would be a replacement heir, so maybe the entire point was to keep it out of the hands of the next guy.
But Roz did say, it was a surprise to her when Roz disowned her, and he did say, I disowned you because you're impetuous and emotional and you let it get the better of you. So she probably knew what becoming the heir entailed.
Right.
But I don't think she ever got far enough to have to make that decision.
Right.
Which I'm sure she'd make in a heartbeat, having been raised as daughter of the demon, et cetera,
Right.
lawful evil, essentially.
Right. Yeah. Well, we got to see the intertwining of the stories as well, too, because we see the Alpha Omega in the flashback, and then we finally get to see it in current times.
Yeah.
Granny died. Right off the bat, Granny died. And I think we're finally starting to, even when we were watching the show, we were just talking about, okay, when is Akio going to die? Not that we want him to die, but we know it's inevitable.
Yeah, no. We knew that in, like, episode 2.
Right,
almost.
right.
Just like, oh.
I've been calling it all season.
Right.
I made a bet last week. And I think I won my bet because kid's bleeding from the mouth in the very last flashback scene that we have.
Never a good sign.
You're a terrible person.
We knew it was
but we didn't know how. I will say
Maseo straight up said, my son is dead.
Right.
And
Yeah,
I'm
no,
like,
no,
okay,
no,
yeah,
I get
we're
it.
going to see him die before the end of the season. We have verbal confirmation. We just need to watch it go down.
And that's the thing. Like, that's been my issue with the flashbacks, is it feels like we're just retelling something that we already knew. I kind of liked a couple weeks ago where you had the Deadshot flashback instead of the Hong Kong flashback.
Yes, that was so good.
If they had done more of that, so that we had maybe 6 flashbacks to Hong Kong as opposed to over a dozen,
right,
I think it would have helped things move along and have a little more impact with that story. I mean, now we've gotten to the good part of it and the part that actually relates to the present day.
Right. Well, because before that, all the flashbacks we got, they were so short and such little teeny bits of information. Like, meh.
It's like,
Okay.
this is how I taught Oliver to be a sniper. I don't really need to
Next.
see that. I didn't just tell me, and you taught him how to be a sniper.
Right.
Okay.
Right. All right. Well, I know that we are slowly
okay,
but
Lex?
surely
This is
starting to
great.
wind down because we're running out of time.
Right on.
We need to jump into our news and gossip, but before we do, anything else that somebody wants to briefly mention before we get to that point?
I don't think so. A lot of people
mean-
are saying fun stuff on Twitter. Add wedding coordinator to Raw's interior decorator to his resume.
How many
Thank
weddings
you,
are we
Kyria.
having this season? There are a lot of
is it
weddings
really
this season.
going to happen?
Hey.
Or is it going to be ambushed? Because I feel like it's going to be ambushed.
3 weddings and a reincarnation.
Hey.
Hashtag frogwater.
I do want to say though that I
Hashtag
thought
frog water.
on the whole, I thought this was one of the stronger episodes that they've had in a while. Actually, I enjoyed the heck out of it. Like, criticisms aside, and I still love Diggle and Lila. They are such an amazing couple. It's great to see a couple on television who the drama is from the fact that they're happy and they have to deal with stuff, as opposed to they shouldn't be with each other,
Right.
or they found multiple reasons not to be with each other. They're together. And there is still drama. Drama doesn't end when you get married. And I
Right.
love that they're showing that. And Lila, I mean, she's so much cooler than her counterpart in the comics.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she's really got such agency and such a great backstory. I really dig how that's happening. And Thea, I've loved this entire
Yes.
season.
Yeah.
Her development, her maturity. I'm ready for her to totally become Speedy. Like, let's do it.
Yeah.
I love that she's taking this into her own hands.
Yeah. And
I do
she's-
love Felicity the weapons mule as well. I just have to say that the don't you dare touch me and her being able to pull that off as outrage and not a pivotal part of our little plan not to let
Right.
people get killed
Right.
was
Yeah.
great delivery.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
The
was
last thing I
super
want to say
happy.
before if we can start pulling up either the pictures or the video, that would be really awesome. Lila, the one thing I took away from her brief conversation with Oliver was, when Diggle's brother died, a piece of him died too,
Mm-hmm.
and that void didn't get filled until you were in his life. And I thought, sparkle of something? No, just
But
nothing.
if Oliver was committed, truly committed in every part of his soul to killing Diggle in that moment, he could have done it. Yes, he got an arrow through
Oh,
his
yeah, no,
wrist,
I
but he
think-
could have done it.
Oh, yeah, no, I think Oliver's either fighting or he's playing a long game.
Yeah. I think he's playing the game.
That's
Engineer,
a
do we
really
have
super
pictures?
long game to be playing.
Okay, can you please put them up, sir? Or video, whichever one you have posted first, because I see nothing on my end.
Oh.
So if you have the opportunity, if you're listening to us, make sure you watch us on YouTube so you can see the really cool pictures. These are a few pictures of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles on set. Stephen Amell as Casey Jones. Let's go to our next picture.
Great casting.
Yes, but okay, so this is a picture obviously spliced in the between the version of him with the mask and the hockey stick, and then Stephen Amell is Stephen Amell for Oliver. Can we go to our next picture? And part of me, as we see all these pictures of Stephen, I haven't seen him with the mask, and maybe that's because that's just the scene they were filming. I don't
Right.
know, but I'm used to this guy, and this is throwback to the 90s.
Yeah, that's the 90s version.
the old
alright.
Casey Jones.
Elias
Cadeas, yeah. This is an amazing version of Casey
Yeah,
Jones.
no, absolutely.
And they referenced this version several times in the new cartoon that's on Nickelodeon. I freaking love it.
Let's go to the next picture, please.
Cartoon's glorious.
Oh, and then
It
this
is.
is the old April. And it's interesting because Megan Fox now plays the role of April. I'm like, okay, well, what a different take on April. That's all I'll say.
A pal of mine was in this movie.
Really?
Yeah, he played the teenager that goes to the Foot Clan and then is told, like, this isn't a family and stuff.
Next picture, please. Oh, okay. And then I just wanted to bring up, they made a poster out of, this was the video I believe I showed last week.
Oh, the superhero Fight Club.
Yeah, but the fact that I think someone had pointed out online, like, she finally has her own poster, the Canary.
She finally has the butt pose poster
Yes,
that
of
everyone
course.
is forced
Requisite.
into.
But yeah.
Just shoot me.
All right, next photo.
I did love the superhero fight.
Oh, and then this would just happen to be because most recently Emily Rickards and Katie Cassidy were spotted at the beach in Florida. I'm like, oh, they're enjoying the break. So I just thought it was cute.
They like the ocean like us.
Yes, and I believe that's all the photos I have. Am I correct? Okay, and then we have a video that we'll pull up, and this video is actually something you can find online because Stephen Amell loves to talk to all of his fans online, and I liked it just because it was his thank you for everybody following on season 3 and him talking about the future and this, that, and the third. So we'll just show a very brief clip of that, and when you get the chance, go
so
online.
Excited. I would like to take a minute to thank everyone for all the support through season 3. Overall, Ratings-wise, this has been our best season that we've ever had. I've seen the fan base of the show grow, become more interesting, become more interactive, become more passionate. We do that every year. I can only imagine the type of fandom that Jared and Jensen experience on a daily basis being on season 11, or going into season 11 of their show. It has been a fantastic ride. We have, and I'm biased, the very best crew in all of television. This is a 190-day shoot. We have been shooting since the beginning of July. The things that these people pull off, the feats which they accomplish, it is breathtaking to witness on a day-to-day basis. The undertaking of this show, no pun intended, Merlin, is staggering. And everyone does it.
And you can watch the rest later on at home. But anyways,
Stephen, you don't want Supernatural fans.
Oh.
You don't.
Oh, leave him alone.
He's a good guy.
Yeah.
He's a really good guy.
I do.
I have no problem with Stephen, but he doesn't know what he's getting into with this.
Hey, he's homies with some of the people on Supernatural, so I won't even touch it.
Also, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure.
Fans are terrifying.
I'm pretty sure Steven is already familiar with Tumblr fans at this point. Like, he's fine.
I don't know.
But no, every interview I see with this guy all the time on his Twitter feed, like, what a cool,
great guy.
chill, really fun, amiable guy. Like, whether he's standing up for Grant Gustin or he's talking about the fans or the crew, like, always really cool.
I was listening a while back. They did a panel at, I don't know which con, but it was a panel for Lego Batman 3, and he was on this panel, and listening to the dude talk about how grateful he was that fans have embraced him as this character, because he is, for so many people, he is the Green Arrow. He is so many people's, and he gets it.
For my mother, he's the only Green Arrow.
Right, exactly. But he gets it, and he seems so humbled and grateful by it, and that's cool because you don't hear that enough
very often at all.
No.
All right, guys, let's get into some predictions. Cool music. Okay, since you are a very special guest, I will let you predict first.
Oh, for what we're going to see in the finale and such. All right, so I mean, you can go in a couple different ways. You can either go that Nyssa will take over as the demon and will try to move the organization into something else, not necessarily something Oliver would approve of, but something that he can live with. Or you can have that Nyssa and Rage die, and Oliver tries to use what influence he has to himself, like either disassemble the League from the inside, or again turn into a force for good, perhaps with Malcolm in charge.
Hashtag Ra's al Ghul of Justice.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, hush.
Yeah, and then he would just sort of like guide things. Like maybe this could be part of Malcolm's redemption. Like, you want to show me how much you've changed? Turn this into a force for good. Right.
That would be amazing. Guys, we are actually running out of time, so I'm going to just keep it as our special guest ending the night with his fantastic prediction.
Sorry.
No. And as you're doing so, go ahead and shout out your Twitter handle to all the folks at home so they can follow you and continue the conversation.
Sure. I'm Alan Kistler, and the Twitter handle is @Sizzler Kistler, Kistler. Fine, and yeah, reach out to me. Say hi.
I'm Katie Cullen. You can find me on Twitter, Tumblr, and Instagram at Kiaxet. That's Kiaxet. I've also joined Snapchat at Kia Prime. You can also find me on the Transformers Robots in Disguise after show every Sunday.
Lex Michael, Twitter handle @the Lex Michael. Rest in peace, Bob the Candle Intern. Good luck, Steve.
And I'm Alikona Bradford. You can find me at Kiss My Passport. And do not forget to find my YouTube channel, Boys and Beauty with Alikona. Subscribe, like, comment, and support. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you next week. Good night.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later!
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.